Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do, because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking
Yeah.
through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes, get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN.
Hey, what do we do now, fam? As you know, our goal is to help the world learn more about the strange world of young widowhood and grief in general. We have really loved connecting with our listeners and are so grateful that we have had such a great community all over the world. We would love to keep the podcast going, and as some of you know, there are many costs associated with creating, producing, and keeping the episodes housed on web hosting. Although the podcast is free on whichever favorite podcast app you use, there is a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. This is why we have started a Patreon. For those who are unfamiliar with Patreon, it is a way that creators can provide their fans a way to help them continue to create content. For just $5 a month, our friends of the podcast can help support us with the various operating fees that come with our podcasting. We would love to have more time to make more episodes, and your support on Patreon will help us to do so. We appreciate your support so much. Again, it's just $5 a month if you feel so inclined, and it is patreon.com/WWDN. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for another Widow-tastic episode of Widow We Do Now.
Mel,
What?
we have an exciting and engaging topic to discuss today.
Ooh, tell me more.
Today we present 20 practical tips for new widows.
Valued at $1 million.
On sale today for free $99.
Aren't we so nice?
We are so nice. One day, will you guys pay us, though? Just a quick question.
Or will somebody just pay for our hosting? I'm poor. I'm a poor widow. Okay.
I'm the poor widow, sure. Okay, so let me give you the backstory of this list, can I?
Yeah. Someone died.
How did you know?
I had a feeling.
I feel like you already know this infomercial. Okay, so I have had in the last few months, I have been acquaintances with people who have suddenly lost their husbands. And I feel this great pressure to step up and give them some information that I found to be super helpful. So I started writing down all the things that I could think of that were practical tips. And then I surveyed the widows that I knew and asked them their practical tips and then put them together in this list valued at $1 million on sale today.
For free.
Actually, we should charge them 1 rating and review, please.
Yes. And before we get started, of course, there are going to be thoughts that maybe a lot of people have that are not on this list. There's so many. This is a comprehensive list that Anita has compiled, and we've kind of discussed a little bit. And, there are always going to be other things that people can do. But this is what we felt was a good top 20 how-to guide.
Of practical tips. Not so much emotional tips, but how to deal with some of the practical issues of death in the immediate aftermath.
Yes. So not by using your emotions as a guide, but your brain, which you don't have because you're a widow.
Yeah.
Because it broke.
So not so much coping techniques, a little bit, but more just like what to do. And here's the thing. I figure that not a lot of widows who are in the immediate aftermath are going to be listening to this podcast because usually it takes a little while. You're still in shock for this kind of thing.
They probably don't realize they're a widow because they're like, that's an old lady.
Yes. Yeah, true. So I'm hoping that other people will hear this or will get it out there, and then other people can funnel this information to them. So maybe you're a family member who's listening to this, or, in 6 months you learn of somebody who's suddenly become widowed or has become widowed, and you can pass along this to them and help them to get this information.
Please help us to help others.
Help us help you.
Help.
Okay, are you ready to dive in?
Yes, Anita, what's number 1?
Numero uno is sleeping pills. Get some as soon as possible. You need to sleep, and it will be nearly impossible in the beginning. So,
if you don't have access to sleeping pills, like maybe NyQuil, Z-Quil, Quill.
I would say try those at first, and then go to your doctor and get something that will actually help you sleep, because sleep is so important for physical and emotional well-being.
Amen. Get an accordion. When I read that, that's what I thought it was. I'm like, what? Get an accordion folder. So you can ask somebody to find one for you because you're going to get a lot of documents. Don't worry about organizing it. Just keep it all in one place. So later when you need those papers, when your brain is like sort of working maybe, or even if it's not, you're going to know at least it's in the area of the folder.
Good tip, Mel. I loved that one.
Yeah.
That one alone was worth $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another tip for immediately is, this is number 3, before you do the laundry or before anybody does the laundry, grab a couple of your spouse's shirts or something that they wear a lot and put them in some Ziploc bags.
Why?
There is something about preserving them and like their smell that it's just nice to be able to have that. And if somebody has done the laundry, just grab something that maybe they wore a lot and use that.
I like this one. I didn't know about this one. It's too bad.
Yeah, stick some in the Ziploc bag, and then you can like open it and smell them and maybe find some comfort in that. Smell is a powerful memory. It's linked powerfully to memory. So if you can preserve a smell, I don't know if you feel this way, Mel, but like, do you ever smell this is going to sound weird. Do you ever smell Scott's deodorant?
No, because I had to move so quickly that I don't have a lot of his things.
Well, but have you ever smelled like anybody who's wearing, like, has his same smell?
Yes, it takes you right back to when he was alive.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, wow.
Number 4, I am suggesting to Anita right now to do this because we're working on using our phone calendar and looking at it. But put everything in your phone. You're going to have appointments. You'll have some big ones and some small ones. And your brain is broken and you're not going to remember anything, even though before the death, maybe you did remember things and you relied on your memory. Your multitasker is definitely going to be broken for a few months, if not longer. So keep everything in your phone. If you don't use your phone for a calendar service, then write it down on an actual calendar. Just write stuff down. It's been it's almost 3 years coming up. I still have to write stuff down or I totally forget it.
Me too. Yeah. And in the beginning, it was so serious that it was like I needed to write down like things that were part of our lives forever. Like we had soccer games every Wednesday for the last 22 years. All of a sudden, I could not remember it was Wednesday and it was soccer games. So it's like write everything down in your calendar in the beginning, no matter how automatic it was before, because it might not be automatic anymore.
Well, and even still, like we had an instance the other day where we were supposed to record and then I forgot that I had something and Anita forgot that she had something. And we were like, what's wrong with us? But we both had them in our phones. And we're not recent young widows as far as like 1 month out. Your memory, it will suck for a long time. Write things down.
Number 5. This one is very practical. It only applies if you live in the U.S. I don't know the systems of other places, so I can only say what happens in USA. And it also only applies if you have kids who are 16 years or younger. You should call the Social Security office and get an appointment for benefits ASAP. That appointment usually takes a month or 2 to schedule. So you'll call and your scheduled time will be in 6 weeks. So the sooner you call, the sooner you will get on that schedule and the sooner you will be able to get death benefits or survivor benefits for you or your children.
So have you done that?
Yes, for sure. I waited because I didn't want to do it. And then it was like this whole thing because then I had to wait like 2 more months to get an appointment. And if I just would have called like immediately, then it wouldn't have been so bad. This is one of those things that is totally sucky and you have to do it yourself. You can't ask somebody else to do it for you. And you just need to try to do your best and do it as soon as you can. On that same wavelength, I'm going to do number 6 also. If you still have kids at home, or if you have kids at home, you should also consider getting them on a waiting list for a children's grief group. So there are many around the country, probably many around the world. You'll have to do your own research or ask somebody to find what ones are available in your community. But generally they have a waiting list. So this is another one of those things that you just need to get on the list because if you wait until you're feeling like you can deal with it, you're going to push back how quickly your kids can get in that support group. So it took us about 10 months to get into a support group for my kids. And had I called, and I didn't call for 6 weeks because it just didn't seem like I could. But my advice to you is call as soon as you can, get them on the waiting list so that you can start a little bit sooner.
Number 7, find something that you can stomach to drink because you will not be able to eat. You're going to feel upset. You're going to feel numb. You're going to feel like you're in shock because you are. So I know, Anita, didn't you have smoothies?
Smoothies worked good for me because it was like calories plus liquid and it was like the only thing that I could make myself put in my body.
Do you want to know what I drank? The only thing I could have was like broth. And then some friends brought me some Dr. Pepper, but I did have some of that, but it was almost too much. So broth, smoothies, something that's liquid that goes down easy.
Gatorade, something that has like some calories in it, but you got to stay hydrated and eat or drink something because, again, your physical health is going to be impacted more negatively if you're not able to get something inside of you.
And you know why? Because you're going to cry your guts out, and so you're definitely going to need electrolytes and nutrition and all those things. And it sucks.
And it's never going to be fine, but you will be able to eat later,
yeah.
Maybe too much. You'll go the opposite direction.
Yep, like me and
not
the Lucky
naming
Charms.
any names. Yeah, and me and the Oreos.
Yeah.
Number 8, anytime you think of something that needs to be done around your house or any task, anything that needs to be purchased, things like that, write it down on like a Post-it note or a little piece of note paper and then stick it somewhere that is viewable to the public. I put it on my refrigerator with a magnet. And then when anybody says, "What can we do for you?" I just say, look at the list. If there's anything that you can do on that list, sign up for it and do that. That way, when people ask you what you need, you don't have to rely on your memory and you don't have to try and think of what you need. Just write it down anytime it comes into your brain.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Number 9, take advantage of all the help that comes to you at first because there's a ton. Everybody wants to help. Everybody's in shock or everybody is in immense grief as well. And it's not going to last forever, even though it might feel like it. So get all the stuff done that you can.
Seriously.
Do not feel
you
bad.
Want your flower beds planted? Do it now. Don't say, well, we'll do it next year. Won't happen.
You need your garbage taken out? Let them do it. Dishes?
Yes.
Anything. I had somebody that looked at my pipes in my house to make sure that it was winterized because we weren't sure if Scott did it. And that was so helpful because I was like, I never would have thought about that.
Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor. Yeah, that's totally a good idea. Yeah. And like house projects and things like that, maybe if you have something that you've needed to do for a little while, I mean, you can throw it out there and see if somebody wants to help you with that house project right now, because there will be more help in the beginning than there will be in a few months.
Have you always wanted a greenhouse? Now's the time to get it done for free.
I love how we're making this an infomercial.
I know. But here, the other thing too is that most people are not used to taking advantage of so much help because they're like, no, I'll do it myself. And they feel bad having people help them. Yeah. This is a time that is going to really kind of break you and change you because you will need some help. So as much as you can, allow that to happen. And you might struggle with it internally for a while of like, well, I just feel so bad because I'm
imposing.
Yeah, I'm imposing.
I should be able to do this.
Just don't. Let them do it.
But number 10 is kind of the flip side of this. And that is how and when you do tasks is completely up to you. So don't be pushed into putting clothes or belongings away. Don't let people ask you to take their belongings immediately. Do it when you're ready. It's probably best to wait a little while because right in the moment you might feel like it's an okay idea, but I have talked to so many people who regret giving things away or putting things away and then wishing they hadn't. So you can just tell people to take a jump in the lake when they ask you about those things and just let them know that you get to do it on your timetable and whenever it feels right for you. So take advantage of the help, but you get to drive how and when it happens.
I like that because it's really easy to feel guilted into doing things or doing things because you feel like you are supposed to or should. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't give people stuff that don't deserve their stuff.
No.
It's your stuff.
You are the boss. If you are the widow, you're the boss.
You're the boss.
Okay, number 11. It's really important to find other widows/widowers. Find a grief support group. There are tons on Facebook. There are lots of Marco Polo groups that I've heard about. And you don't have to necessarily participate for a while. You can super just creep on everybody for as long as you want. That's the good thing about it. Everybody there gets it. Nobody expects others to post stuff or respond. And you can just kind of gather information and read other stories of how people are dealing with their own tragedies that are similar.
Mel.
What?
Can I put forth a suggestion?
Oh, I guess so.
What about the Widow We Do Now Widow Wives Club? Wouldn't that qualify?
Anita, tell me more. How does one join?
One searches in Facebook for the Widow Wives Club, and then one fills out all the questions, and then you are approved if you are not a creepy non-widow stalker.
And if you are having a hard time with the questions or getting it to work, message us on our Widow We Do Now Facebook messaging system, which is the regular system for everyone. Okay, go.
Which is the regular system. Number 12. Something I found very helpful was I came up with a code word to let my family and really close friends know when I needed some alone time during the quote unquote social events and visitations right after Jason died.
Was the word shenanigans?
Afghanistan, Bananistan. Actually, the code word is I need to go to the bathroom. That really was my code word.
Wait, but what if you actually had to go to the bathroom?
Sometimes I did, but when I said that out loud and I just didn't just leave, they knew that I was going to get away for a little while. So that was my I can't do this anymore and I just need to go be alone for a little while. And then when people would say, "Where's Anita?" they'd say, "She's in the bathroom." Nobody can argue with that. And nobody came to bother me. So nice. I found that to be really helpful because I couldn't deal with it. It was too intense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that
the
one.
whole time.
Number 13, designate somebody you trust to be the point of contact. So you can give their information to the mortuary, and if they need to contact you, they can go through that person. That way you have somebody that is not as emotional and not okay and has a more clear mind so that they can present it to you and they can tell that it's a good time for you. And I actually have a good friend that is that person for me and helped me a lot. And my mom was also that person. So that was really helpful. And that person can also help you with scary things like when you have to go to the post office and tell them that your husband is dead, so to please stop sending mail to your house. Or other things like that. Canceling doctor's appointments, canceling tickets, canceling anything.
Yeah, just and some of the mundane stuff that really you don't need to make the decisions about, that they can maybe either make the decision for you or they can present it to you at a time when it's going to be a good time. You don't need to stop everything you're doing to decide if your funeral program is going to be white or off-white. You know what I'm saying? That can happen at a different time when it's a good time to be talking about that kind of thing.
Yes, good. But wait, there's more.
Number 14. This is the bonus material, not in the regular packaging. 40% extra. You are going to feel sad and happy and crazy and all of those things right on top of each other and in quick succession and all at the same time. It's a wild roller coaster ride and you're going to think you're losing your mind and you are losing your mind and that's normal. Feel whatever you feel without judgment, without guilt, and don't let anybody else tell you how you should be feeling because nobody knows how you should be feeling.
Amen.
Except for you.
I would just like to reinforce that don't let anybody tell you what you should do. It's not their place. You are the boss.
15 is for you.
Now, this could be for the ladies or for our male friends that love their lashes. Invest in some good waterproof mascara or get eyelash extensions because you are going to cry a ton, and if you want to still look good, those are some good options. Now, I get eyelash extensions, and kind of the more you cry, the worse it is for them. So my personal suggestion for that is to wait a little bit before you invest in those because they're expensive. So I would get waterproof mascara for the first several months, then move to the eyelash extensions, unless you are Anita and you swim a lot.
Then never get them. Okay, this one's kind of not that serious because it's not like you really need this, but it is kind of nice to not look like a hag when you're crying in your car and then going to the grocery store. Don't you think?
I kind of didn't care that I looked like a hag, though.
Well, this one's optional.
Except, wait, here's the thing, though. All your effort at the beginning is spent towards surviving. And if you have kids, keeping them surviving. And so certain things are going to kind of go by the wayside. For me, it just was such an effort for me to get out of bed, and I couldn't even make my own food or care about food for over 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months a year, stuff like that. It was a really long time. I was not okay. And by the time I was able to start being more consistent with eating, then I was in a place where I was like, oh, every single thing that I do is such hard work. Getting out of bed, trying to not want to die myself, trying to figure out how I'm going to work while I'm still not okay, stuff like that. And for me, making the investment in the eyelash extensions made it so that there was one less thing that I had that made me feel like I had to work super hard at it. So for me, it's worth it. I pay for eyelash extensions and I look great when I wake up, but I didn't put any effort in.
Okay, like we said, that one, you can take or leave that one. Don't be mad at us for saying that one because it's okay. Next, number 16. Don't throw cards away that people give you yet. So I kept them all in a shoebox, and then in a couple months, I went through them all again, and I did not remember any of them. I didn't remember anybody that had given me a card and was nice to me. And it was nice to remember the people who had reached out. Plus, there were 2 or 3 cards in there that had money in them that I had not pulled out. And so if I would have thrown them away, I would have thrown away money, and poor widows need money. So
that happened to me, and I found 2 gift cards that luckily were not
so
thrown
don't
away.
throw them away yet. Keep them until your brain is working a little bit better so that you can get the touchy-feely, not the touchy-feely, the warm fuzzies of knowing who loves you and is caring for you, and also the cold hard cash.
Number 17, write things down. Get a journal, write your feelings and your thoughts in it and how you're coping, write down your experiences, look for good things, write down the bad things too. It's super annoying, but you'll also find that there are good things. So that's kind of good because when you have those times where you just feel like you can't go on anymore, you will be able to look back and kind of see those threads of good things. The other thing is your perspective will change as you move farther away from the death date. And so you might have multiple kind of feelings and experiences depending on when you are reflecting on those things. So it's interesting to go back and read what things were like for you in the early moments of grief. And I know too that those first few weeks when everybody's around and there's lots of love and support, hopefully, that it feels like it's going to be that way all the time with all the support. And it's not. Everybody's lives are changing. And so it's lots of change. And eventually it will kind of settle into a groove. And so it's kind of nice to remember how things were at that time. I know for me, there were a lot of really funny things that happened. And I was just Scott, I wish that you could hear this or see this or be part of this. And so it was nice to write some things down and be able to reflect.
Part of the reason that I love to write things down also is because of my kids. I write down every single day on Instagram what we did that day. And a big part of that is I want to be able to go back and read through the day-to-day things to see how we changed and to see how we survived and to see how we grew as a family. And I especially want my kids to be able to go back and look through that and realize that they're jerks and they need to give me presents when they're adults. And I love them very much.
Don't send Child Protective Services to Anita.
Please don't.
She doesn't need it.
Okay, this one's a big one for me. So, move your body. Exercise is a known antidepressant. So whenever you exercise, your brain releases chemicals, and those chemicals are the feel-good chemicals. So any physical exertion can give you a release and an outlet and bathe your brain in great, happy chemicals. So whatever that looks for you is going to be different. If you weren't a marathon runner before, you probably shouldn't start, right away to run a marathon, but get outside, go for a walk around the block. Even just a walk is going to be better than nothing. Yoga, swimming, tennis, whatever you can do to make your body move is going to be super helpful for you.
And I would like to add a few things to this. There's also chair yoga. So if you don't have full use of your entire body, there are still options if you're a little bit impaired. And I would like to add, get massages. Because I was in the category of I couldn't even go on a walk because I was in that car accident before Scott died. So I was not okay. And even yoga, it took me a couple of years to be able to do it because of my injuries. So get a massage, do something that has to do with the physical element of your body.
Bueno.
Number 19.
So number 19 is not a universal, but a lot of funeral homes will offer to take a fingerprint of your loved one, and then they can make it into jewelry. If you know that your spouse might die, I would say to do this beforehand to get a fingerprint in some like air dry clay or something that will dry. The funeral home will get their fingerprint and then they'll make jewelry out of it. It's a racket. I mean, I was pretty upset about it because I feel like they charge too much, but I still had them take the fingerprint because you don't have to order the jewelry, but you can't get that decision back either. You can't be like 3 months down the road. Yes, I would like a thumbprint necklace now. Probably not going to happen. So I would say just to say yes, that you want them to do that. It's better to make that decision and have the choice than to not make that decision and not have the choice.
What if you just took Silly Putty to the funeral home and said, hey, can I see my husband? And then you made your own print.
I think you can, but I think the problem with Silly Putty is it doesn't dry. So you have to get like something that dries. I am not a sculpting genius, but I'm sure there's a way to do it. So yes.
So did you get one of these?
I did end up getting one. Yeah.
Are you glad?
Yes, I am. And that's why I tell you to do that. Did they even offer it to you?
I have no idea. I know that we had the same funeral home, and I'm sure if they offered it to you, they offered it to me, but...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I was preoccupied with the little trinkets that can go in the casket. No, I did not get one, but it maybe would be cool to have a necklace. I don't know.
Or something. I don't know. I just think it's better to be able to make the decision later down the road. And if you say no, then you can't make that decision. So
I like what our friend Liz did where her kids, her husband was cremated. And so her kids and her each had a part of him and they have a little necklace. Is
cute too.
So yeah. So maybe your loved one is cremated and that's another option. Hi, Liz.
I hope homeschooling is going as good as it's going here.
Okay, number 20. Oh, this is the end.
That was my really bad drum roll.
That was amazing. Okay.
Go.
Find something to look forward to. That could be something like a trip or a race if you're like Anita, or a visit from a special friend. I flew out one of my friends for my birthday that was after Scott's death, and I used my miles, and it was something that I wanted to do because I wanted her to be around me, but she didn't have the money, and it was totally worth it. Or get a dog.
Or put a down payment on a dog so you have him to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that? Can you put a down payment on a dog? I think you can.
Yes, they're called deposits.
Oh.
You're obviously not well versed in puppies. It's fine.
It's fine. We are the proud new owners of 5 fish at this house, though.
Okay. What do you have to say about that? Anita, when did you plan your first race after Jason died?
I think it was about 2 months after where I decided that I was going to plan to do my big race and go for it. And it was immensely helpful to just have something to look forward to and something that kind of kept me motivated to something in the future. So I think it's really important to find something. It does not have to be a race, but something that you look forward to in the future, because it's going to be hard.
I have a bonus tip.
You know that's required in an infomercial, right?
Okay, so
you think you're getting to the end and then boom, we upsell you with the extra content.
Yes. So, okay, I guess that's the end of our list, right?
That's the end of our list.
But wait, there's more, because I have something to say. When I was first widowed, a young widow came over and she told me that she had regretted that she didn't take as much time off as she could have. So if you have the capability to take a more extended time off of work, do it. she just felt like her head couldn't be gathered enough and that she went back too quickly. And I think she went back after like a month. She goes, I wish I had done like 3 or 4 months. So your brain's just scrambled. So if you're able to do that, take some more time.
Very good. Yes.
Well, Anita, that was a great list.
That was a great list. And I feel like our listeners have really gotten a good value in today's programming.
You know, I think so too.
If you'd like to hear more of this, please subscribe and rate and review.
Please share with a widow or someone who is connected to a widow in need.
We would love to hear if you have bonus material to add to our list as well, because this can be a list that can be added to if it needs to be.
There's probably like 100 really good things that you can do, but we wanted to keep it to 20 so that you're not here hanging out with us for 7 hours.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
So thank you to everybody who helped contribute to our research on that, and Anita for heading it up, and everybody in the various collectives that we have asked for advice and questions. Hopefully this was a helpful podcast episode for you and you agree with a lot of the things, or not.
That's fine too. Join us next time. I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
We're 2 young widows giving out advice for free.
Or $1 million.
Or $1 million and trying to figure out widow we do now.
Wow. This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it, and my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys. Such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.